good afternoon. I am just so honored and appreciative to be standing here in front of you today. My most heartfelt gratitude and thanksgiving to the MCEA Executive Office, the MCEA Board, the Selection Committee, and to all the MCEA members, those here and those not here, for this Lifetime Achievement Award. I really can't believe I'm standing here. Congratulations, too, to the previous award recipients, many of whom I've been fortunate enough to know and work alongside. These are people who helped create the field, built the field up, and who brought much incredible social, political, and educational influence to the work. They were game changers, and I am greatly humbled and honored to be included in their company. This award is not simply a reflection of myself, but of the many talented, committed, compassionate, and personable people that have been with me throughout my career, mentoring, supporting, and befriending me. I've had a handful of stops along my journey, and have been blessed at each staff with extremely talented staff, advisory councils, and administrative support. Thank you to the staff at Mankato, Northfield, St. Cloud, and Willmar. You were terrific partners in building quality education, community education. My great staff allowed me to leave the office on occasion without fear, so that I could be more deeply engaged in MCEA and in statewide initiatives. So truly, this is a group honor, and I am just forever in your debt. Thank you for the people who saw potential in me and encouraged me to get my community education director's license, especially Bev Fritz and Joan Eisenreich, but many others as well. Thank you to Dr. Sean Hoffman-Bram, who's not only been a friend and colleague for the past 3+ decades, but if I'm understanding correctly, nominated me for this award. Thank you, too, to all the people that submitted supporting letters and other documentations. Thank you to the MCEA Executive Office, not only Bob Meyer and Matt Dickhausen, but to all the great support staff over the years. Gene Johnson, in particular, was a terrific help and resource throughout my career and was always willing to field my many questions, emails, and phone calls with grace and patience. Thank you to my many colleagues who've remained my friends into retirement, including those that are at the tables here, but also throughout the room and those who aren't here. This lifetime friendship colleague network has just been a tremendous blessing to me, especially in retirement. It would take me the rest of the hour to name them all, and I'm afraid I might forget someone. But you know, you are very important to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to give love and thanks to my family, to my beautiful spouse, Therese, who has been with me through thick and thin, and to my 2 stepsons, Nick and Alex, who came into my life when they were quite young. Both have grown up into productive, thoughtful, and caring young men with families of their own. And I'm so happy you've been with me on this journey, and I'm looking forward to more adventures in the future. And lastly, thank you to my Creator for helping me stumble into this crazy world known as community education. And stumble is the appropriate word. Like I'm suspecting a lot of you in the room, my pathway into community education was what you might call non-linear. After I graduated from college, my plan was to be a high school social studies teacher. However, the job market in the 1980s was less than desirable, to put it mildly. I think I could have thrown a rock down the street and hit 3 social studies teachers in the head. One teaching job I applied for had 250 applicants. So soon after that revelation, I took a day job with a mortgage company, and I kept looking for a teaching gig. One day, out of the blue, I decided to volunteer at a local community center near my apartment in Minneapolis. I went in and told them I was licensed, I wanted to tutor kids or something similar, just to do something with teaching. The person told me about something new called adult basic education and asked if I would ever be willing to tutor adults. Sure, I said, even though I'd never heard of adult basic education, had no idea what it was. And when I walked into the class the first night, I actually asked the teacher, "Where are the kids?" Yeah. little thick up here. I soon realized how enjoyable it was working with motivated, appreciative, mature adults from all walk of life, culturally, age-wise, employment-wise, single and married, parents and non-parents, smart people with diverse skill sets and interests in many things. After a couple of months, the teacher who was overseeing my class left abruptly, like did not show up. Yeah. So for a couple of weeks, I ran the class, and then they came in and said, so-and-so has left. Are you interested in applying? And I applied, and I got hired 2 nights a week. So that's my grand entrance into the field of community ed. I did this for a while, and then, adult basic ed was not, there were no master contracts, it was not paid well, it was all part-time. And so but I was really loving it. I mean, I was just really, really enjoying it and getting a lot out of it internally. And one night I hated the mortgage company, okay? Let's make that clear too. One night I'm at home and I asked myself the question that really changed my life forever. I said, I wonder if I could make a living teaching adults. That was the start, and changed my life it did. I picked up some additional AB hours in a neighboring district. I said goodbye to the mortgage company and to K-12. A few years later, I took a job coordinating adult education in Mankato. My first director's job came about 4 years later in Northfield. I also did a lengthy stint in St. Cloud and finished my career in Willmar. In partnership with many, many others, I was humbled and fortunate enough to do a lot of enjoyable and meaningful work at each stay. I helped to create some of the earliest adult diploma programs that are now common throughout our state. Really rewarding work. I witnessed and helped support the explosive growth of early childhood programs. Helped to build 2 community centers, both of which are in operation today. I helped navigate a department through COVID without having to decimate my staff or program. I worked with a couple of different joint powers agreements, and I managed an alternative high school for a time during, surprise, surprise, budget cuts, district budget cuts. By the way, here you go, you're the area high school too. I really had the privilege of working in all of these different roles. I loved my work here with MCEA. I also got a chance to serve on the National Community Ed Board when there was one, and I was appointed to the Minnesota Board of School Administrators. It has been an unbelievably messy, terrific, non-linear ride, but I am grateful for it all. And speaking of MCEA, this organization was very important to me throughout my career, but especially in the beginning. In my earliest days, there were almost no staff development opportunities specifically designed for community education professionals. MCEA was my staff development, my professional development. I took the Introduction to Community Education course. I took the finance course. I purchased and poured through the finance manual. I made about 1,000 copies or calls to Bob Meyer, and he always returned them promptly. I wanted to learn about legislative issues, so I joined the legislative committee, and this was before we had a lobbyist, and this was before the electronic monitoring, so we monitored committees, and I even got to testify a few times. Attended fall conferences, leadership days, regional meetings, and other learning opportunities, asked questions, all the great people I met, and I am just very, very grateful for MCEA, and I'm so glad it was here. Just an unbelievable reference. Of all the advice I've ever got in community ed, maybe the best advice I got was from Denny Carlson, who was a longtime director at Anoka Hennepin. I heard him giving a legislative update somewhere. It might have been here, it might have been at the fall conference, I can't remember. And he got a question from a member of the audience. And it's a question that we've asked ourselves probably many times. You've got all this stuff going on in your district, you've got cuts, and you've got positions are being threatened, and there's all of this stuff happening that's out of your control, and yet it might be negatively impacting your district. And somebody asked the question and said, I got all this chaos going around me. What can I do? What should I do? Denny's answer has struck with me all these many years. He said, make yourself useful. I've tried to make myself useful throughout my career and continue to make myself useful, I hope, in retirement. It is even great advice today. Our work in community education builds capacity in people, staff, and participants. It helps to bring out the best of what humanity has to offer. When well done, community education is democratic, egalitarian, equitable, and improves civic engagement. It leverages community resources to build better places to live, work, and grow. It is a melding of resources, both human and material, that leads to larger and better solutions. There is a redemptive, empathetic quality about community education that I believe is rare and unique. I firmly believe the field of community education is in great hands. It's in your hands. You are the field. And certainly I have some concerns. I am with you in spirit and more than a little angry at the federal overreach that is targeting our school children and immigrant families. I am concerned about the precarious community education levy. And you don't want to say it too loud, but I think Minnesota is the only one that still has such a levy. And I'm concerned about some of the licensing games that are being played in some districts, especially in the rural area. But I am not worried about this field, about the future. This room is full of amazingly smart, creative, effective, competent, and compassionate leaders, and I have complete confidence that you will lead us to bigger and better things. So thank you to MCEA and to the field for this wonderful award. I look forward to staying involved in the association. I wish you well moving forward, and have an excellent rest of your conference. Thank you.